Hey YouTube, this is Rescue Amusement Park Fan 62. It is Monday, December the 18th at around 6:26, or December 19th, I'm sorry, at 6:26. Happy Christmas week. Now, if you're like me and a lot of people, you're going to get hit by this massive cold front coming in later this week. They're saying around Thursday night into Friday. Okay. From what I understand at this point, this is something not to joke about. You're going to see extremely low temperatures. They are saying, at least around in my area, anywhere from about 2 to -1 in that area. They're saying at least Friday night, Christmas Eve, and Christmas Day. So this is something not to mess with. Now, how does this revolve around decorations? Okay. Depending on what happens with this whole scenario, one of two things can happen, and none of this is going to be good either. One can be your decorations can fail. I hope this doesn't happen, especially with how cold it's going to get, but unfortunately, that can happen. Um, or they can be fine. It's just one of the things I highly suggest you do is keep an eye on the weather this week in your area and decide by Wednesday at the latest what can you do for this. Stuff like lights doesn't really matter um, at this point. They're they're not one of those things to really be too concerned about. But it's more stuff like blow molds, inflatables, stuff like that. That's the concerning parts because those are not cheap anymore. Um, like inflatable that's beside me, I'm still trying to get to. I hope to get to it this week. That was, I think, a $50 inflatable. My 5 foot pumpkin that I had around Halloween. Um, that was a $50 inflatable as well. And those are cheap fans. Once you get to the base fans, they're obviously a lot more. Like my tree I have in the cemetery, even though that was the last one, and that was with a discount and stuff like that. That was still, I think, around $100. So obviously, though this stuff is not cheap. So the best thing to do is keep an eye on what is going to happen. I know it is scary to think about this, but unfortunately, like everything, you cannot predict the weather and what is going to happen with this sort of thing. I am keeping an eye on it as well for my stuff in the yard. Blow molds, I am a little bit concerned about, but I'm not as much concerned with more of like the inflatables and stuff like that because even like the small ones, I have about almost $100 worth of small ones in the yard at this point. Because each of them was around $15 to $20 each. So think about that for a moment. But maybe more. I really haven't counted. But this is going to be no joke. So I highly recommend you keep an eye on them and see what happens. Um, Now, what can you do? Now, unfortunately, you have about 2 to 3 options in this case. So I'm going to go over those now. The first option is if it's just extreme cold. I've been told they can run fine, so keep that in mind. Now, once you start to add snow and ice and stuff like that, if it's just snow, they can run fine. But once you add ice into the mix, or sleet, or freezing rain, or anything in that frozen liquid, I highly suggest you take them inside. I know you hate to leave them, especially with that being so close to Christmas, but here is the thing. I would rather just have them not there for a day or a night than having them out, they get destroyed, and you have to buy all new ones for next Christmas. So that is something to keep in mind at this point. Next thing. If you want to leave them out, but have them deflated, the best thing to do is this. If you have these laying around, I highly suggest you put like a piece of plastic or tarp or something like that that can take water pretty well. So that way, all you can do is just put it over it, and it will keep off like rains or like rain, freezing rain, stuff like that. While it may stick to the plastic or tarp, it won't stick to the inflatable itself. Um, so keep that in mind. Um, Now, as for like those yard decorations, so not like a blow mold or an inflatable, but like those um, like figures you could put in your yard. That could be anything from like a flamingo to an elf to whatever they make nowadays. I would highly suggest with those in particular, if you still want to keep those out, as long as you don't have many, the best thing to do with those is just put them on your porch. If you don't have a porch, I would highly suggest bring them inside, maybe just putting them in your windows. Um, those are the best options for this point with this circumstance because I have learned in the past, especially with yard decorations like that, it is something not to mess with. A friend and I, a long time ago, had those motion deer, and due to ice that formed on them, it broke. So I highly suggest you either deflate them, put them away, bring them inside, something